Well, joining me now to discuss this is Congressman Kevin Hern. He's a member of the Ways and Means Committee. He's also chairman of the Republican Study Committee. He represents the 1st Congressional District of Oklahoma. Congressman Hern, great to see you. Welcome back to Washington Watch.
Great to see you, Jody. Thanks for having me.
It's always an honor to have you. All right, for those who are watching or listening who are trying even now to wrap their heads around what all of this means, can you kind of break it down for us what the CBO revealed yesterday and what it really means?
Well, again, thanks for highlighting this and bringing this to everyone's attention. It's something we've been talking about for a long time on RSC, as you know. What it means is that we're spending out of control. The government is getting so big that it's even difficult for our current modeling to even keep track. When you talk to the GAO, as I've done through as chair of the RSC and have chaired the RSC budget for the last 2 years, and actually on Ways and Means looking at some of our social safety net programs, the GAO says that they can get back to us in a year, which they're basically stating the obvious, that the government has gotten so big that there's no modeling available to actually tell the American people and members of Congress just how much we're spending, where it's going, and how do we get it under control. And so we've got to change the way we're doing business. The CBO, the people working over there are doing a great job. I know many of them very well, have worked with them on many occasions. My 2 years in the Budget Committee and now going on 4 years on Ways and Means as RSC Chairman of the Budget Committee. These folks are trying to get their arms around, but we are spending money so fast. And what Joe Biden has done since he's been in office is capsize the economy in the United States of America. I've had a lot of town halls this week since I've been home in Oklahoma, and Democrats and Republicans are basically knocking off the dust of somebody from down south that you're familiar with, James Carville, as he told Bill Clinton back in the day, it's about the economy, stupid. And when Joe Biden goes out and talks about Bidenomics and how great it is, he's lost complete touch. We already knew that, but now he is basically confirmed he's lost complete touch with reality in the United States of America and the connection with the American people.
Yeah, it really is. And I love your word picture of capsizing the economy. I think that is just a perfect description of what's taking place. And the numbers are so astronomical. I mean, as you say, even CBO is trying to wrap their mind around how large of a problem is facing the American economy right now. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the numbers would have even been worse if the Supreme Court had not invalidated President Biden's broad student loan bailout scheme this past June.
It would have been. And, you know, we know that was going to be upwards of $1 trillion when it was all said and done based on who was taking the advantage of that. I know he said $400 billion. But as we started looking and hearing from outside groups, and then CBO took another look at it, it was estimated it was going to be close to $1 trillion. If you look in these numbers that CBO released yesterday, you look at spending on the Department of Education is up 57% year over year. A lot of that is money that he has used to go through and forgive loans to the tune of $90 billion or so. When you look, one of the things I think is the most alarming, and every American can understand this, when you look at your credit card, if you're not paying your credit card off, the interest will absolutely eat you alive. And that's what is starting to happen. Interest on our debt was by far higher than anyone ever estimated, some $140 billion higher. And what's going to happen is the highest number that we're going to have on spending in the next 6 to 7 years will be the interest on our debt.
That's unthinkable and frightening to think of that. I want to throw this out to you as well. All the bank failures that we've seen in recent months this past year, and what I'm seeing is there's potentially dozens and dozens more that could face the same outcome. There's still quite a bit of instability in the whole banking sector, isn't there?
Well, there is. Certainly, when you look at the banking at the regional banks we saw with SVB and Signature, not a lot of loan production, but a lot of cash coming in because the federal government was just pumping literally trillions of dollars into the economy, which is what caused the 9% inflation by the the Biden administration, might as well be Obama. And what we're seeing now is the same thing. While a lot of banks didn't put money into long-term treasuries, which capsized, again, using that word, when we started seeing the inflation and the short-term yields exceeded the long-term yields, Now what we've seen is our banks, certainly community banks, have put a lot of fixed money into commercial real estate. And we already know and seeing what's happened across America with those rates becoming, fixed at a lower number, and banks are trying to figure out how to make money. So there is some risk, a lot of risk in some areas of the country where commercial real estate is being heavily leveraged in banks. And what we saw in California, the reason that SVB got out of control is because regulators weren't doing their job. So, we got to keep pushing through the Financial Services Committee, through Treasury, to make sure that the commissioners and the inspectors that are going out, the IGs that are going out across these banking communities, are looking at these banks, making sure that their liquidity ratios are in a good spot, that their right mix of their loans is in a good spot, and that we don't have any more issues with our banking system.
Well, we appreciate you breaking this down for us. We're coming up, we hit on this a little bit yesterday, on the 1-year anniversary of the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. But we all know that has nothing to do about reducing inflation or addressing economic problems. It's all about climate change, which tells you everything you need to know about the priorities of this current administration. If I can, in the brief time that we have left, I want to switch topics. The Republican Study Committee, which of course you are chairman of, has outlined some priorities when it comes to public health-related legislation programs. In about a minute or so that we have left, bring us up to speed on what you guys are working on.
Well, basically, we go back and review what happened and how we got to where we were with an unelected official, Dr. Fauci, being able to shut down cities and states and communities and schools. And we're seeing the repercussions of that now, and going back and laying out the policies of, good governance. When we're seeing, being forced to wear masks in communities where we didn't stop the spread. We certainly had outbreaks everywhere, and we allowed him to. When I say we, the federal government allowed him to take reign, and it was people that challenged him were demonized as saying that they're not allowing the experts. And we saw that there were many people, 1 million Americans died with all of the, he kept changing his tune. So this is a lot of the policies out there. Also, withholding funding. For
about
those
15 seconds, Congressman.
Okay. So all those that are out there, violating this is withholding funds to make sure that we're doing the right thing with the American taxpayer dollars.
Thank you, Congressman Kevin Hern, 1st Congressional District of Oklahoma. Great seeing you. Thank you for joining us on Washington Watch this evening.
Thanks, Jody.